Okay, thank you everyone joining from anywhere you are. I welcome all of us from different parts of the world, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Uganda, anywhere you are coming, you are joining from. I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this wonderful event that we plan to do today in order to tell you guys what happens in the United States and in terms of education. Since the country has decided to celebrate us being the international students, we decided to join this celebration by using this opportunity to talk about what happens here and how we feel, what we are seeing, the opportunities and the challenges we are facing here. And this is also to prepare our minds and some of you who are struggling to join us here by next year so that you know what to expect as you're coming. So this week it's always it always comes between 13th and 17th of every year, November of every year, when the US Department of Education joins to celebrate International Education Week in order to mark the international students, I mean the to appreciate and to reiterate their commitment towards international education in this country. So we welcome all of you. Without wasting of any time, I'm going to hand over the microphone to the moderator, Linda. Linda is a very wonderful person, and I always call her a high flyer. Linda graduated with first class from the prestigious University of Ibadan in Nigeria, where she came out as the best female graduating students, the best graduating students overall, not even in just department. So after then, she continued with her master's in the University of Ibadan. And then at a point, the Chinese government remembered her and said, we need this talent in our country. They gave her full funded scholarship. And she flew from Nigeria to China to do her master's, where she eventually graduated with distinction in both the masters in University of Ibadan and the masters in the China. Yeah, so after then, she proceeded for her PhD in Hong Kong, where she's enjoying the highest scholarship of Hong Kong government. She's a leader. She has published a lot of articles, a lot of publications with over 130 citations. Linda is a very wonderful lady, and I call her a small girl with big God. She loves young people. She loves to contribute to the lives of young people, and she's also a board member of Education African Scholars Global Connect. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome the moderator of this event, Mgbe Chidimma Linda Chiamaka. You have the floor now. Let's welcome her with at least a clapping hands in the chat box. Let's make noise. Let's welcome her back. She's our moderator, and she will anchor the program. Thank you, Linda. You have the floor now.
Thank you so much. Please, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you, yeah.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction. I would like to extend my greetings to everyone who is listening today. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you gain one or two things during the course of this event. So please, without wasting so much time, I would like to confirm if we have all our panelists on attendance.
Yeah, all of them. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them out of 5. Yeah. So it's a good.
Okay,
If the panelists can put on their videos. Yeah, I'll be very happy if the panelists can put on their videos because they are on so that they will see your faces as you talk to them.
Thank you so much.
Only one panelist will not be here. The undergraduate guy, I think he just informed me this morning that his lecture was fixed at the same time of this. So But the other person, Emmanuel Kayanja from Uganda, he will soon join. So you can continue. I think Emmanuel Ume has joined too.
So much. So someone want to say something? Okay. So please, I would like us to, let's hear from our panelists. So starting up, can we meet you, Miss Amaka? Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and good morning from this side of the world. My name is Amaka Peace Onembunle. I'm currently doing my master's program in communication at Northern Illinois University. It's nice to be here.
Thank you so much. So please, can we hear from Mr. Charles? Please, can we meet you, sir?
Good evening, everyone. Can I be heard?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. Yes, I am Charles Obochi, the lecturer in the Department of Industrial Relations and Personnel Management in a remote school called Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, but not remote in terms of the products. I am happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's my alma mater.
So much. Please, can we also hear from you, Mr. Emmanuel Ume?
Hello, good morning. My name is Emmanuel Ume. I'm doing my PhD in mathematics and education at University of Missouri.
Can you help us to mute those who are not speaking at the time? Thank you.
Yeah, I've muted them. Yeah, continue.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Imam.
Mr. Samuel.
Mr. Samuel.
Yeah, hey everybody, good morning. My name is Samuel Chiboyemuche, and I'm a second year PhD student at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, PhD in computer science. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much. So without wasting so much time, I'll be going straight to the questioning for the day. We have a lot of interesting questions, of which I believe those who are in attendance will gain a lot from. So starting off, I would like to ask Ms. Amaka, what strategies can an international student, particularly those in the United States of America, employ to optimize their study experience abroad, including managing the coursework, employment commitments, and also maintaining the connection with families at home? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So before I start speaking, I would want to kind of like put out a huge disclaimer. The disclaimer being that the strategies that work for me might not work for another person, right? But then because we have so many people in the world, that also translates to so many strategies. And that I'm sharing mine also mean that is why templates exist. So you could pick one or two things from that. To the question, personally, when I came here last year, I was very poor in managing my time, and that somehow upset with everything, my mental health, my schedules, my academics. But as time went on, I started to realize that you have to be strategic in picking your classes first. There are some classes you could switch, like kind of like skip them for the next semester if they are not really going into the way your schedules are. For example, this semester, I made sure that all my classes were in the evenings, and they kind of like align in a way that Friday is free for me. So Friday is the day that I take out for myself to focus on myself. And also like make that mental notes to myself that I have to use the week to do something academic and use the weekend to do something personal. Something personal could be long-term, work on my long-term goals. If I am doing research, I could use the weekend to do my research, because during the week, you could be juggling between your TA sheet, GA sheet, your class, your homework, all of those things. So that is how I have somehow strategically navigated that space for myself. And, time differences between here and back home, sometimes it could be 6 hours, sometimes it could be 7 hours. That is messed up, honestly, if I'm being honest, because there are sometimes my parents will be calling me. So my parents actually, they have not really gotten hang of those whole calculating times. So sometimes they could be calling me during class. So what I usually do is after class, sometimes maybe it could be 9 p.m. So 9 p.m. they should be sleeping by that time. I would speak to them sometimes, like this morning, I've already spoken with them. So that way I know that at least, even if it's not enough for the rest of the day, I've heard from them. Yeah.
Thank you so much. But is there any tip, like maybe 1 or 2 things one could do to build a good CGPA in the US?
So my experience with schooling in Africa, Nigeria, let me not be like in Nigeria particularly, and schooling here. One big tip is here. Now, the academics are so rigorous. Oh my God, it is full of rigor. And being in humanities, so I'm doing communication. So some schools doing communication from the social science part of it, so I'm doing it as humanities. And I'm doing it as humanity in my school. So humanity here, you have to write, you have to read. And that is actually one thing I tell people that are coming, if you're coming here to relax, to enjoy, to flex, please shove it down, flush it down in the toilet, because you won't have that time. That's the truth. And that is why you should also be passionate about whichever field that you're doing. Because for me, passion is something that carries you up when your physical self has worn out, And in that whole doing all of the assignments, you would get tired. But if you're passionate about what you're doing, you won't give up. And one really big thing I've seen here is that they are very willing to help you as long as you're willing to learn. So if you are very serious about your education, if you are very serious about your future, so I also like to tell people, think of your master's degree or your PhD education as part of your life. The way we treat school from the psychoanalytics part of it, we treat school like something we have to get in and get out. Part of our lives. So if you treat it as a part of your life, a part of your career, maybe you will take it more seriously that way, right? So it is just the seriousness would actually show in your willingness to learn, your enthusiasm, and that way it could translate to more commitment to your class. For me personally,
sorry about that. Just continue. I have muted the person. Please, if you join, try and mute yourself immediately. I've said this over and over again. Please mute yourself so that you don't disrupt what we are doing. Thank you.
So for me personally, I'm particularly strategic about my classwork. If there is any assignment, I like to start it because it's writing assignment. And with writing is very subjective than mathematical assignment. So if it's number doesn't lie, right? It is 2, it is 2. But with writing, it is very subjective. So I like to start it off way ahead. So that way, as the semester progresses, as the deadline draw close, I have to give it a different look, analyze it well. And one thing with writing is that the more you come back at it intermittently and in different occasions, you always have a fresh idea, a fresh perspective. That way, the more fresh idea or fresh eyes you give your work, the more quality you add to it. So that will also help you give quality to your work. I don't know. And that also will translate that if you're producing quality work, I've not seen a professor that says, oh, 90 is for God, 100 is for God, 90 is for me, 80 is, that kind of thing. So as long as you do quality work, you're getting your A. Do you understand? So First of all, you have to be serious with what you're doing first. You have to be passionate about the field for you to actually put in that strength to say, oh, I'm serious about this. You have to be committed. And then when you're committed, like to try to approach your assignments way early on. And if you're approaching it way early on in the week, if there is any misconception, any confusion, you can email them, go for class, go for office hours. They are willing that you would actually produce good work and you get your A, right?
Thank you so much. It's quite insightful. So, Mr. Ima, I'll be coming to you now. Please, the GRE is actually something that most institutions do ask for. And we are so grateful to have you, a mathematician. So well, I would think you had done the GRE, or maybe you didn't do it. So for some of us who will be requiring to submit this GRE, is it possible, or how can we overcome not taking this GRE? And when we consider the cost and exchange rates in African countries, is it possible for us to overcome taking GRE in order to gain admission into the US? Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Very
Yes.
well.
Okay, so when it comes to the issue of GRE, I think that's one of the big for grad students. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I'm echoing a little bit. I don't know. I think I have to reset now.
No, you're correct. It's correct. It's okay.
Okay, so most of the time people ask me this question about GRE. The thing is that most schools in America right now waive GRE. Why most they don't waive that GRE? It's a strong requirement and prerequisite. But often at times you say that school will analyze your application on a holistic level, not like looking if you actually have GRE or not. But it's also important to, before you apply to any school, you ask the school if GRE is a strong prerequisite. Some school will go ahead and waive it for you, while some school will not waive it. So the thing is just to know like which school you are applying and what, like if GRE is actually a very strong prerequisite in their application. So I'll use myself as an example. The first school I applied is Florida State University, and I know I reached out to the professors and actually admission, but GRE was very strong, and my GRE wasn't good to reach up the 300 and something cutoff mark, like that is a prerequisite. And I have to apply and look for other schools. And all these things when you're applying, please also look for, because each school has a kind of like minimum of scores they are looking for in GRE. They have schools like they have like minimum scores they are looking for. And it's actually good to reach out to the school and say, oh, what is your minimum? Can it be waived? If not, how can I do it? Then if it comes to the issue of like costs of GRE, I would say that it is what it is. I won't, if it deems you to kind of like save to write it, you have to save to write it, because if the school say, oh, we are not waiving this GRE, is a kind of like it's one of our strong prerequisites. Because for me, the angle I'm seeing GRE is like, I see it as a distinguished factor. Like after maybe people have submitted their application and maybe the department is kind of like, the faculties are looking like, oh, who should we choose? Maybe they'll just use GRE, who has the highest score in based on that, and they'll just use it and distinguish. So even after you have reached out to them, you just have to save, write it. I know there's a lot of scholarship in Nigeria. There are a lot of guys doing a lot of things when it comes to supporting people to write GRE. And one of them is it Taiwo Stanley, can you remember me the man's name again?
Yeah, Michael Taiwo Scholarship.
Michael Taiwo Scholarship. So there's a lot of people right now helping people, supporting GRE, people to write GRE, which one of me I want to also start it, but make my legs strong, small. You understand? Yeah, but because we want more people to come over to this place to get this knowledge. So, but that is it. So if it is worth for you to save for it to write it, try save for it and write it. If not, if the school decides to wait it for you, fine. But before you do that, you have to search. So don't, and I noticed that people just apply to school because their friend getting admission in so university and they feel like, oh, let me apply. No, for you to apply to schools in the US or in the Canada, you have to painstakingly, you have to search. You have to search. Like when I was searching for schools, I know I searched almost nothing less than 250 schools. I still have the book. So that's why it's not like I'm bragging, but it is difficult. You call a school in the United States or in Canada, and I won't tell you this is where the school is because I searched. And inside all that schools, I know how many of them that bounced me. I know how many of them that kind of like, accepted me before I finally kind of like choose one. Because at the end of the day, even if you are accepted in 10 schools, you have to choose one. You understand? So I eventually got like accepted in 4 schools and I have to choose one. So all these things, but before all these things, I talked with them, GRE, TOEFL, can all these things be waived and all those things. So it is important.
Thank you so much. So I hope everyone is gaining some insights today. You need to search. You need to have a list of universities to apply to more or less like a short listing. You need to have that, please. Do well to search. So Mr. Samuel, please, I would like to ask you, so how do international students deal with the stress of being away from home? Someone like me, I love the Nigerian, the African food. How do my kind of people, how are we going to survive in the US? And how are we going to adapt to the cultural shock that comes with the new environment? And if you have some experience, we don't mind, share with us. Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much. And I first would want to appreciate the panelists who have spoken before me. They've so far shared very huge insights regarding the questions that we asked them. So concerning my own questions about how to survive both the cultural shock and the fact that you have to leave home to come spend probably 2 years to 5 years, depending on the kind of program you're doing here in the US. So the first thing I'd like to say to anybody who cares to listen is that it's part of life. At some point, you've got to leave home, probably go to college, just leave home at some point. And it entails leaving some things before. It entails leaving your comfort zones to a new place entirely. And that's part of the reason why we're having this conversation this morning. So the question is asking, how do you make the most out of that situation? How do you survive the entire stress of coming to study here in the US? So the first thing I would say is that before schools decide to bring in international students for them to come study and probably leverage on their knowledge, I think they're going to have some resources in place. So every school that I know here in the US has an international house for international students, people of different religion, different ethnicity and background, and what have you. So the best thing, or the first thing I think you can do for you to be able to manage stress properly here is to, first of all, leverage on the resources that your school has made available for you. For example, in my school, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, we have some certain days of the week, we have what we call the Wellness Day. So it's a day that we don't have classes at all, and people come together to either do sport. Some people participate in meditation, other people do other things. But it's just like a way of trying to detox yourself. It's a way of trying to, let go of all the entire stress that the semester may have built up entirely for you. So a good thing to do is to try to leverage on your school's resources. Please, if your school has resources like the International House, maybe there could be organizations that the school is putting out there for you guys, try to leverage on those ones. that could help you to manage stress. The second thing you can also leverage in is communities. For example, there are African organizations in your school that could have programs or things that they put up that you can join them. So I call this communities home away from home. So we have African communities, and recently this semester we are trying to meet up to plan programs that can help us. So you can leverage on some of those resources, meet people from other backgrounds, especially people of the African origin, because we are trying to manage stress here. You can meet these people from African backgrounds as well. Leverage on that resource. Another people you can also leverage on is probably, for me as a Nigerian, I can leverage on the Nigerian communities. So once in a while, we have get-togethers, we have programs that we plan, that we meet, talk about the situations that we have in school, issues you may have with professors, your research. In such meetings, you discover that people are actually going through a lot. I've had people, fellow Nigerians, who had to switch programs here because they couldn't just break through some of the barriers they had in their programs. So in such meetings, we're able to really like comfort each other, probably prefer solutions or broker solutions that could help us, move on to the next phase of our academic career and the rest of them. It's important you try to leverage on such solutions as well. The most important thing I also want to say to anybody who cares to listen is that you should try to speak up. So coming from a background in like Nigeria, where we are literally afraid of our professors, it's a little bit different. There is this cultural shock of seeing students walking or strolling down the street with their professors, talking as if they are mates. So when I was at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, my course advisor, anytime I want to meet him, you have to like pray for some hours so that you can meet him in a good mood. Because you might meet this man and probably had a quarrel with his wife and he won't get your courses formed. Sorry, your courses signed. He's not going, he never advised any of us on how to choose courses. And so we literally carried that mentality over to this place. For example, one of the cultural shock I have had in this place is the issue of office hours. So even though I'm a teaching assistant, I help students out with issues in their courses as a teaching assistant, I still struggle with going for office hours, going to ask questions for problems that I have, even though that's primarily what my scholarship is all about. So it's a huge cultural shock for me. So I would tell anybody, ask for help. When I came newly, I spent hours and hours trying to figure out something someone taught me in 10 minutes. Because some of these guys are way ahead of you. You have to just recognize that fact. And so I met up with Galen, and what I've been struggling to learn in more than probably 2 or 3 days, Galen taught me in 10 to 15 minutes. And so I saved the rest of the hour and I dedicated it to something very different. Speak up. If you don't speak up, you won't make use of some of those resources. If you need help, ask for people. Another way to manage stress is like form study groups. Don't be shy. One thing someone taught me here is that you need to really be very street smart in the US to survive. Ask stupid questions. You can only get to ask them once. Ask very stupid questions. Ask for help. Anybody that can help you, reach out to the individual and ask an individual for help. So for my own personal experience about cultural shock is, I had a Nigerian who told me he was a TA in one of the courses he was doing in the biotech program, that a professor reached out to him to say that he should be very lenient with a student because she broke up with the boyfriend and it was having impact on her education. I was like, yo, for real? If you lose a loved one, your professor in Nigeria would not care. He said, you can defer the semester, because I've been in that space before. And she broke up with her boyfriend, and that's why we have to be lenient in scoring her. So that's like a huge cultural shock to me. Thank you.
So much. So if I get to the US and I want to study, I have to speak up. Maybe they'll make the cost and the marking scheme a little bit. Thank you so much. I'm really having a good time. So, Mr. Charles, I'll be coming to you now. Please, I would like to know, like me, I'm a Nigerian, and I want to believe we have a lot of youthful and handsome Africans on this event today. Is someone speaking? Please. Please get muted when you join. Thank you. Please, I would like to know, how do we uphold our diverse heritage, our cultural heritage, even when we study abroad? Why study and living in the US?
All right. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you,
hear me?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Can
sir.
you
We
hear me,
can
Linda?
Yeah, we can hear you.
hear you well, sir.
Hello?
Hello, sir. We can hear you
Hello, can I be heard?
very
All right.
well.
Yes.
First of all, I want to appreciate EduAfrique and all the team members for the opportunity to be on this platform today. And secondly, I want to congratulate all of you in every part of the world who God has helped. Because if you think it's because you are intelligent, because you are smart, I tell you the truth, there are more intelligent people here also. But by divine providence, you are there. And I'm sure you know, as it happens now in Nigeria, you are in a better place than where we are, because where we are now is very close to hellfire. And I must tell you, just stay where you are very tight. We don't know what is happening in this part of the world, but just continue to pray. And I know that definitely one day it's going to be fine. But generally, I congratulate you for being out there. I want to thank Amaka for being intelligent as she is, and thank Emmanuel for his robust experience, and Sam, who has already made introduction to the question that I am about to answer a little bit. There is a correlation between what Sam answered and what I am going to speak on. But generally speaking, talking about maintaining our heritage, I want to start by saying that one of the things you can do, don't forget that I am not talking experientially as one who is there. I'm talking as a father who is at the background, who is in Nigeria. All right. So number one thing I think is for you to love and appreciate your heritage. This may be very deep, but you need to love and appreciate your heritage, even though I see it as a personal issue. Okay? It is not to be appreciated, but I think the best thing we have to do is to love and appreciate your heritage. I have painted Nigeria in a way now, but that does not mean that it is not our home, and that does not mean that it can't get better. So first of all, love and appreciate your heritage. If that is done, I want to also say that just like Sam said a little bit, as much as possible, I don't know what the school system where you are offers in terms of allowances. I want to suggest that you should also be dressing to reflect your heritage on specific days, as may be allowed by the institution. Don't go over there and turn English or French or turn Asia. Try to dress like Africa, try to dress like Nigeria, and even the part of Nigeria where you are coming from, depending on the allowance that the school gives in terms of specific days for casual dressing or whatever. I don't know what is obtainable, but if you don't have your heritage attire, please go and purchase one, put in your wardrobe, and once in a while, put them on. You are sending a message that you may not be able to know the length and the breadth. Having said that, I want to also suggest that if you are cooking for yourself, please don't go over there and turn to become English man or woman, French man or woman, eating with sticks and eating with whatever, I don't know. Use your hands to eat, even if you are in the public. You are sending a message that you may not know the length and the breadth. Try to go to the market, get some African and Nigerian food in raw, and cook and eat. If you can also afford to go to bukas, try and visit African bukas, not continental and intercontinental bukas. Go and visit African bukas where you can see pounded yam, where you can see cassava, whatever you can see there, please patronize them, eat it. I'm telling you the truth, as you are eating it, you are reminding people and yourself of your heritage. And there is no other way of doing it better other than that way. You'll be reminding yourself and be reminding the people around you. And people may even be watching you and they'll be appreciating what you are doing. You may not know. Again, I want to also suggest that in order to uphold your heritage, you must not neglect or despise the heritage of others. Others also love their own heritage the way you love your own. Don't think that the Chinese are stupid, eating with sticks, eating shrimps and whatever. Don't think that the northern man with you there is stupid. Don't think that the other heritage is not valuable. Appreciate your heritage, appreciate other people's heritage. By the time you give people that allowance and opportunity, they will want to investigate and to know more about your heritage if they love you. And then you begin to share experiences. And before you know it, some people will say, let me test your food. Let me wear your dress. Let me do this and let me do that. By so doing, you are winning them to your own heritage. And you may not know, marriages can also sprout out. Every other thing can follow as the case may be. And so these are some of the few things that I say I want to put across on how we can uphold our heritage, driving from the last speaker, Samuel, in order to, don't forget that you are going to come back here. You know, no matter how long you stay, one day you come back and you become African, you become Nigerian. Don't forget what you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. There's no place like home. So while we enjoy so many benefits outside of Africa, please remember to uphold Africa in good light. Nevertheless, I would like us to meet Mr. Emmanuel Kayanja. Please, can we meet you, sir?
You are muted.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. We can hear you.
Yes, please. I'm happy to. Is this the moment where I mention my name and introduce myself very well?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Stanley and Linda and the rest of the speakers that came before me. First, I apologize for coming quite late. I had a physical meeting that I had to first finish, and I'm very happy. I found a very interesting conversation from Mr. Charles. That is what I always advocate for. People, when they go, they normally forget about their own heritage and culture. And I'm very, very happy to be here. My name is Emmanuel Kayanja. I am based in Uganda. I co-founded an organization called Read to Learn Foundation. And here we do early literacy for children. We focus on ages from 2 years to 18. We train young people to become literacy champions within their communities. We work with different entities, the government, and also the UN structure, specifically with UNESCO. And I have been a mentor. I am very lucky and privileged to be mentoring a business and a program, rather an initiative under the GIDA program, as initiated by Donors for Africa. And this is none other than EduAfrica, which is the initiative by Mr. Stanley. We have had a very, very long journey, and we have seen some great progress so far. And I'm sure that some of the lessons I have learned from him and also that he has learned from me are being implemented. And I'm very happy to come here and share my experience with colleagues who are also looking at attaining their education across borders. over to you, the moderator, Miss Linda, and thank you very much for having me.
So much, sir. We're so honored to have you in our midst. Please, I would like you to answer one or two questions for us to start with. What is your guidance, or what would you advise new applicants who are seeking to change their career in the US in order to be able to navigate the visa, maybe the issues of their visa being refused or not being able to have good case when they go for their visa interview?
Thank you very much for asking that question. Unfortunately, I've never gone through the visa process of the US specifically. However, I have very many colleagues who have gone through and they always tell me stories. So I'm going to discuss from that perspective. And most of the times is when you're applying for a visa in the US, it's very important to have a story. And this story should align. If, for example, you have chosen to tell a story when they're asking you something here, most times it has to align with what you told them yesterday or what you wrote in the specific document. And also in the process, most of the young people who, especially that are chasing education abroad, the most biggest challenge that I have seen has always been in the collection of that fund for the visa. Most of the young people within Africa, they do not have money. Most of them are not working yet. So you find that the challenge comes at there is a deadline for school, and also you have to beat up also the time for getting the visa. So most times it is very important to plan ahead, whereby you know that you have applied to, say, 6 universities, at least 2 of them are going to respond. So it's very important to plan ahead and be sure that you at least have some specific amount of money you have already fundraised through your group or your team of friends or family, to be sure you at least have a certain amount of money with you that you're going to use to pay for that, so that it doesn't affect your process of application. Because once it affects it, now you're in another, that is another big challenge that you don't want to go through. Then a very important one is time of attending the interview. The interview is one big step that you should, every young person should take very serious, especially when they are going for education. Most times, the chances for a student visa are always most times very high, given that when you give a good reason and it aligns that there is a reason why you should go to the US, it always comes up very quickly. The challenge is that most of us, especially the young people, when they go, the stories are not connected. Here you're saying that you're going to study medicine. In your academics, in the previous, say, master's in medicine, but in the previous education, it is showing that you studied agriculture. Honestly, the two do not really, they do not tally at all. So you have to be ready either to defend that. For example, where you say that you're changing your career and you're connecting this in line to your education. Then even as you're talking about this, it has to connect to the value that comes with you going in the US, then even after when you return after your education, because it has to make sense to the interviewer during the interview. When you go, yes, you have gone, then what value does it come with? It's very important, especially to the country, because the country has to know what kind of a person are we bringing in. Can they be of value to us? At the same time, can they also be of value when they return back to their country? Because a consulate or an embassy is supposed to play a role of connecting the two entities, whereby, generally speaking, for example, if I went to Nigeria right now, the government of Nigeria wants to know, how am I adding value to me getting within the country? It can be through tourism, through education, through any other ways. So as young people, as they are going to try even if it doesn't have to be even a young people, as long as you're trying to look into the career perspective, or at the same time to go to apply for a visa especially in the US, you need to go with an aligning story, and also look at a way how it will add value to you, to the country where you're coming from, and even to the country where you're going. I think that's what I have to put across. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So please,
welcome.
while you prepare for your interview, try to ensure that your DS-160, whatever you had filled in there is what you are saying.
Yes.
Stick to one side of the story. Don't tell them one thing and another thing is on your DS-160. You'll just get disqualified. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
Please, I'll be coming to Ms. Amaka. In a situation whereby an international student is faced with academic challenges and struggles in the US, please, what do you suggest or what do you advise or what is your take on how to go about this?
Thank you so much, Linda. I think Samuel somehow mentioned a little about that. So for academic challenges, of which I have faced, because when I came, you meet a lot of intelligent people, a lot of them. And somehow I feel like there is a mental clash or an intellectual clash between, are you enough? Are you under? Are you, you start to navigate whether or not you're even what you are even here. Did you merit this spot, And some people would call that imposter syndrome. And when imposter syndrome hits you, you start to shake academically. You start to even question your ability to even thrive academically. And then another thing is stress. The way we do African time back home, the way you could miss deadlines and that is all, Maybe your lecturer will say, oh, come by 12, and then you would come by 3, and then that is excusable. Here, they stick to time, or in fact, beginning of the semester, all of the whole semester, all the assignments they're going to do, all the deadlines are already on your syllabus. Right there. So it could be mentally challenging. For me, one of the things that I even found really challenging in my academics was somehow balancing my time and my academics. And then if you don't do that well, it could really affect your academic performance. And then when you're struggling, one thing that I didn't do that I'm now doing, so I'm actually somehow speaking from experience, because I was struggling in the beginning. The whole system was really new. So one thing that I know community is good, right? Building community, like maybe African community, Nigerian community, but you can build community to an extent. So I'm saying this because you could build community, Nigerian community, and they could help you mentally to just feel okay, but then you're still struggling academically, right? Because that person may not be in your program. And it's not that they don't want to help you, they don't just know how to help you. So one thing that I usually do is, first of all, if you know people in your discipline, even in other schools, you could form that kind of community, form discipline-related community. And then, like Samuel mentioned, I believe that every school has what they call like a writing center or like a library or anything. So for my school, they have both library, writing center, and that writing center has so many services under it that you could, if you tell them you're struggling, you need a reading partner, they could organize that for you, because a lot of people, they have that access, or maybe like they have that resource. So if you're struggling, you could use the resource there. They have academic writing center or anything. You could even use them to maybe help you. They're not going to help you do your assignment per se, but they would help you somehow deconstruct it in a way that, sometimes a simple concept might look ambiguous until someone points you to the right direction. Be like, oh, I've been overthinking it. Right. So they could help you point you to that straight direction that you'll be looking at. Another thing that I would also really suggest is YouTube, guys. YouTube is helping. Look on YouTube, search on YouTube, search on Google, because one thing I've really somehow learned within my past year or 2 years of being here is that whatever you're thinking, someone has already thought about that. Don't think you're the newest person thinking about it. You might be thinking about it in a different direction, but someone has already thought about it. So someone out there may have asked that question. Someone might be struggling with that same thing. So if you're searching on, I'm actually gonna say this really more generally. If you're coming to grad school, please understand the art, master the art of searching with keywords even. Because some of you will be like, oh, how do I get skills that don't offer GRE? How do I get skills that don't offer IELTS? You know, search. It is out there. Like, you have to roll your sleeves, right? And search for schools. And I actually say like YouTube, because I was not like a very number person, even though I do like small programming, right? But this class that I had like was in statistics, and I was starting to struggle with p-values, t-testing, you know, regression, all of those statistical analysis method. The way I was being taught in class, guys, it was not entering. It was not entering. So I had to like use YouTube. And trust me, YouTube made it way easier. I was watching different videos, and so somehow that helped me. And another thing I do is, like Samuel also mentioned earlier, just speak up. Go for office hours. The first time I've been to office hours all my life is just this semester, in my 4th semester, all my life. And I wish I started that earlier. Like, so go for office hours, because when I went there, the professor, we had like 2 hours of chatting. We literally forgot ourselves. We're still digging in, and they would help you. Just speak up and open your mouth, right? So that is actually what I would say if you're struggling. Find pair. And another thing also, because I actually wanted to find a pair in my own class. Sometimes the schedule would not match, and sometimes people are not really honest pairs. So I'm saying this because some people will be like, oh, let's do a pair. And at the end of the day, you even find out that they don't really want to be pair. They just want to be competition. But I do not function in that kind of environment, right? So somehow you could try things that work for you. It could be in your department. It could be outside of your department. It could be entirely outside of your school. The biggest thing that has been helping me are pairs that I formed in communication outside of my school. Because I have some friends, like I have Ugo in University of Iowa. I have Nath in West Virginia. I have different people from different schools that would be like, hey guys, we are doing the same communication, come here. You know, we talk about this concept. If it's something that they've treated in their school, be like, oh, we have not done this, but I think it's this way, you know, because they are doing the same thing that you are doing. So they would have better approach to answering that kind of questions and helping you kind of like deconstruct concepts for you. So basically, speak up and form a community around whatever interest that you're looking at. Thank you.
Eagle Africa members, are you hearing? Please do well to keep connected, keep networking. You don't know, you might help yourself academically even when you arrive at the US or any country of your choice. So, Mr. Emmanuel Ume, please, I'll be coming to you right now with my question. What factors contribute to certain departments in the US? Some schools, actually, they would say that they don't need GRE, but at the end of the day, we realize that students or candidates who were considered for the admission are those who have submitted GRE scores. Please, why is such, and how do we deal with this? Those of us who don't want to write GRE. Thank you.
So, yeah. Oh my God. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can.
I think
Yes,
that
we can
is
hear
that
you.
is there like a background noise?
Commissioner Office of Education, and
Um,
talk about investment.
that is coming from your end. What
Yeah.
I'm saying, because
So you hear from
It's fine. I think we can hear you.
okay, just go ahead. Just go ahead.
Okay,
Unmute
The
yes.
voice
yourself.
is above that. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, so from the question you asked that most of the time some school or some department will say we don't want GRE, but it ends up that most people that got admission are people that submit GRE, right? And I also have to flip this. I know that most of the time some people will put in the best application and their GRE has a perfect score and they'll end up not getting admission. And these people, they have publication and all those things. So there's what every department, apart from the GRE, there's what every department is looking for in application. And this one thing that most grad students or most people applying for grad school do not understand. Every department is built on a mission and vision, and every faculty that is working on a research knows what they are looking for, because the source of your funding here is either you are doing a TA or TI, teaching instructor, teaching assistant, or you are doing GRA, graduate research assistant. So every faculty is looking for something unique that, you know, that is tied to what your assistantship is. So when it comes to GRE, I think GRE is just to look at your, you know, your pros, like how you can read. I know most of us here have tried to look at GRE essays and maybe all the comprehensions and all this, and see how dense it is. So it's just to like, how can you understand? Because everything in grad school is reading and writing, nothing else. You have to read, write, read, repeat for 16 weeks, then you rest, continue, rest, continue. That's what you do for 5 years. Reading and writing really have to become part of your routine. So now you see that most of the times someone might get like a 300 score in GRE, which is not bad. I look at the statement of papers, they can't even express themselves. Their statements of personal statement, they can't even express themselves. And this person is scored 300. You can't even talk about research you've done. You can't even distinguish yourself, like what makes you a good fit for the department. Then there's no need. The department will feel like, oh, or maybe during the interview, because they normally have a Zoom interview, and when they call you for interview, you are more like, you can't even express yourself. You can't even say this is the reason why, or talk to them like this is the reason why you're a good fit for the program. So what department do is like, most department is they do a holistic review. So what holistic review is that they are not looking at your perfect score, they are looking at who you are. So your recommendation letters, who is the person writing your recommendation letter? What are they saying about you? What's the relationship between your recommendation letter and how is it tying to your statement of purpose? How is it tying to your CV? They want to look at all these connections. You understand? Because each department is being funded by a grant, and they have to work. They have to make sure that everything in the grant, they have to be optimal. Like they have to produce results, and they are looking for the right people to work with them. So you see, at the end of all this thing, you see most of the time that people will not gain admission, and they might say, "Oh, I'm not lucky." No, you are. But check, how do you structure yourself? How do you position yourself? I have seen most of the time that also people, I know somebody that the person did not even write GRE and they got admission full funded. What? Because they were able to tell the professor, like, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I've been working. I have published in so place. You can read my article, you can check how my article is connected to what you're doing. So, but you see, most of the time people think that it all lies in having a good score in GRE. It doesn't. You must make sure that all your application packets, there is a correlation, that your SOP is speaking of who you are, that your recommendation letter, whatever you're putting up in your recommendation letter, is reflection of who you are, is reflection of what your CV is saying about you. And even though that you feel like, yes, I have put in my effort and I didn't get admission, every department has a quota they are looking for. Sometimes it might be, I have seen a like the department I am in. Last year we only took one student, just only one. The previous year we have 5. The other year we have 2. So they might decide like, this year we want 1 student, and it's availability of faculty and all those things. So I think these are a lot of factors that, you know, comes in play when it comes to, like, you know, PhD students or grad students. So
thank you so much. So please get your CV well packaged. Don't be too humble not to put your achievements. Please put them there. They may come very handy when GRE cannot speak for you. Your achievements will speak for you. Your publications will also speak for you. And do well to answer your questions, prepare for interviews, sell yourself. Most importantly, most of the things he's telling us today is about selling yourself. When you go for the interview, please tell them what you can do. They ask you a question, you don't know the question. Oh, yeah, I have an idea in this, but this. You tell them what you can do, tell them what you know. At least that shows that, okay, this person is really interested. Not, I don't know. Please. Okay, Mr. Sam, I'm coming to you. Yeah, thank you so much, Sam. How can international students manage their finances in the US? We know that most of the stipend is not the same. And I've got to understand that it's based on regions, right? So how can international students manage their finances? Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much for the question. So the way I'm looking at Stanley, I think Stanley's supposed to be answering this question because he's the money man, but it's okay. I'll try to do my best for it. So yeah, so when I saw this question, I was supposed to answer this question. So I remembered some core personal principles that I have learned so far. And so I recently learned about something that I call the law of shame, the law of the mastery of shame, and the law of the mastery of shamelessness. And so I strongly believe that every young person who must try to attain greatness in life must learn how to switch between these two principles. So you should understand when you're supposed to switch over to the mastery of shame, and you should also know when to switch to the mastery of shamelessness. So from an observational point of view, I've understood that people don't really care in the US as long as you don't infringe on their personal rights and you don't break the law. Nobody bloody cares if you wear a Gucci or if you wear a Prada. As long as you look good and you don't break the law, nobody bloody cares. So the reason why I speak about the law of shamelessness is that when you live to impress people, especially in terms of your finances, you might die early, you might go to the grave very early, you might be broke. And because nobody cares in the US, you might become homeless too. And so I sit down and I try to analyze why someone who is from one of the most important countries in the world is sitting near a shopping mall, sitting out there in the cold, and people don't bloody care about if that person is going to die from the cold or not. And when you actually try to have a conversation or hold a conversation with someone concerning that situation, probably coming from a background of your communality as an African, they will tell you that they made bad financial decisions in their lives. And so they've just got to leave it themselves. And so that brings me to the second point is that because you have had a mastery of the law of shamelessness, you must also understand as an international student that you don't have some privileges.
Yeah.
What do I mean? Take for instance, some of the students that are under my TA-ship maybe their parents bought them some sort of life insurance. Some of them have had maybe stocks already bought in their name or some things. You can't even join in some social conversations and you'll be canceled. I've recently read on the news about students who were deported because they spoke about very dicey issues like the entire LGBTQ community and the Israeli-Palestinian war. So you don't even have some privileges. So you must learn to have a mastery of your finances. So when you have mastered the law of shamelessness and you understand you don't have some certain privileges, that if you make very poor financial decisions, you could go broke. And if you infringe on your rent contract here, it could be a problem. So you will learn to manage your finances properly. So I have a rule. If you don't need it, don't buy it. So if it's not expedient, if it's not necessary, and if it's not important, don't purchase it. Number two, try to live within your means. Try to live within your means. And so because some of us are international students, and according to the contract we have, we are supposed to dedicate 20 hours to work with the school and on campus, and the rest of the 20 hours of the week to our studies. You're not even allowed to work. When they find you working here, you are infringing the law. And so you have a fixed stipend that comes in every month. And things change. There's inflation in the US, even though it's not going to be the same way we see it back home in Nigeria. So if you don't need something, please don't go get it. Already you've had a mastery of the law of shamelessness, so you don't need to go get that stuff. If you don't need it, if it's not necessary, don't get it. Have a budget. I don't do so well in this area, but try to have a budget. And make use of some resources, because you know how to be shameless. I get free food. Once I'm done with this conversation here today, there's a pantry somewhere where I get free food. I don't buy eggs. I don't buy meat. I don't buy
Pantry.
Yeah, bro.
That's our savior here.
We fold our sleeves. I see people pack their cars of more than $70,000 and they carry bags. People who Latinos, everybody, they're on the queue trying to get free food. And you're coming from Nigeria and you say you will not go and get it. After church, my church is Redeemed Christian Church of God here in Worcester. We go to the pantry, collect free bread, collect this one. People will think, oh, this boy is poor. I know. It's just for a season. Don't mind me. So make sure you are shameless.
Yeah.
You understand? Make sure you are shameless. So when you have a budget, try as much as possible to live within your means. Don't allow anybody. If I go to Little Store here or Goodwill store, any other store here that sells clothes for $4 and you wear your Prada, people will not look at you twice. It's the same clothes. It's gonna cover up your body. Just know that life is a journey. It's a process. You're gonna get there sometime. Don't live above your means. And one thing I've understood here is that people can give you any other thing apart from physical cash.
Yeah.
First time in my life someone gave me $3 was $50, and that was April this year. Nobody has ever given me free money. If somebody gives you money, you must have done something to earn it.
Yes.
So rather give you free food just to show you how it is here. So you must learn how to master money. Also leverage on your school's available resources. First of all, because you might be prone to scam. I've gotten a lot of calls from Indians. I've gotten a lot of calls from people who are trying to sell something to you, trying to tell you to make payments for some things that you're not even involved in. Reach out to your school's international house to find out, are you going to infringe the law if you decide to invest in the US? I know you can do that. Are there stocks you could be able to buy from the little savings that you have? Are there other investment schemes that you can be able to be a part of? Just ask some of those questions from those people. A very good material you can leverage on is Nigerians who have come here before you. One thing I've learned in my graduate school journey is that sometimes being bookish may not necessarily help. You need to be street smart.
Yes.
There are people who bought real estate here in the US. There are people who have bought lands here in the US and other stuff they are doing. Draw near to these people. And one of the ways to draw near to them is by serving. When you are part of any community, whether it's the church, try to volunteer, try to be part of the community, do things. That's how you connect with most of those guys, especially in church. The church is a very huge community for you to really leverage on and learn things from. So live within your means, have a target of amount of money you're going to be saving every month and try to stick to it. At the end of the day, you should also know that because we are very communalistic beings from Africa, you might have people who might be dependent on you from home. So you can make bad choices. That's another reality as well. So for you to manage your resources properly here, make sure you have a mastery of shamelessness. If there are places where they're giving free food, if you can, as long as this is good, go and collect them. It will not make you less of an individual. There are a lot of stores where you can get things cheaper. For example, we have the Dollar Tree store here in the US. There are some materials you can get there for free, like your toothbrushes, your toothpaste, and some cleaning materials. Instead of buying them at a higher rate in other shopping malls, get them at a cheaper rate at Dollar Tree. Make use of any other materials you can be able to find. Make use of your school's international house, leverage on the church, talk to people. One thing about America is like, please speak up, ask questions, and all of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We can't remain quiet, so please ask questions. He has emphasized this like 2 times in the speech. Do ask questions, okay? So please, thank you so much. It's quite very, very insightful. I'll be moving on to Mr. Charles now. Sir, please, as people of color, racism is something we have to deal with. Yes. So please, we'd like to hear from you. When discrimination comes, when prejudice comes, how can we as international students survive or deal with this? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Linda. And thank you, the last speaker, brother Sam. Yeah. Discrimination, prejudices. You need to answer the question, why did you go to US? Why did you go overseas? Is it for discrimination? Is it for prejudices? You better answer that question yourself. Let me also inform us that discrimination and prejudices are not alien to humans. They are not aliens. They are not alien to you. Right here in Nigeria and Africa, we suffer discrimination.
Yeah.
We suffer prejudices. So it's a basic phenomenon in life. Most of you guys, if I'm to be specific, are more of Igbos. You know what you suffer here in Nigeria. That is capital discrimination and prejudice. So, and you survived it in Nigeria. So, and you are in another man's land. I want you to belt up and be ready to survive it also. Knowing very well that you are not there for discriminatory issues, you are not there for prejudices. You are there to school, you are there to come out, possibly to come back or to stay back, as the case may be. So let that be at the back of our mind, that it is part of our life. And so that we will not have our minds overblowing issues out of proportion for no reason, as the case may be. So if you quite understand that as a basic, then it will help you to do the second thing, which is hold your shoulders up. I tell you, black, white, ash, green, whatever color you are, they are all good colors. And I must tell you that black is better anywhere, any day. So hold your shoulder up because your color is a good color. And then try as much as possible never to discriminate, to reciprocate. If somebody has discriminated against you, the best option for you is not to give it back to the person. No. What will make people to love you is not what you say, it's not even what you do sometimes, it's even more of the behavior that those people can decipher in you more than what you put out to them. So I encourage us not to reciprocate, knowing very well that discrimination and prejudices must surely exist. And if you can, cautiously educate any person that is perpetrating discrimination and prejudices. I say cautiously. And I tell you the truth, we have seen cases where people that seem to be your enemies, at the end of the day, became your friends. It all depends on your approach. It all depends on your behavior. It all depends on how cautious you are with them. You win people by behavior, by character, and not actually by what you say, as the case may be. Again, I want to suggest that as much as possible, you can inform the system where you are. You know, when you paint this picture to them about how damaging the image of the school and the department or the faculty will be if they allow discriminatory practices and prejudices to prevail, I'm sure that the chairpersons and the leaders of the school, the department, they may take a second look at it and then come up with policies and programs that will reorientate people who are fond of doing that. Don't forget that all of us are not from the same background. And just like the last speaker said, you know, somebody who has suffered in this part of the world and by divine providence crossed over should not be looking at those flimsy issues. You know, you should, somebody that they say that somebody whose house is being burnt by fire does not go about chasing cats, chasing rats, as the case may be. So it is only those that think that they are something that are still looking at discrimination and prejudices. But when you have already sold yourself to the vision and to the purpose for which you are there for, I tell you the truth, the issue of discrimination and prejudices will not even come up. You'll be able to win people to your side by your character and by your behavior. I think that can serve for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. This is quite insightful. So please hold your shoulders high. It's not about what you say. It's more about what they see, what you do. Not about how much explanation. You don't get evidence, so you go explain, tire. So
No
please hold
evidence.
your shoulders high and just do the right thing, okay? Keep to law and you see everything working perfectly well. And also try to inform them. You know, most importantly, we have these racial issues simply because they don't know. I have met a lot of people who think Africa is a country. I have to tell them, is not America a country? Can I say you're from North America, like is a country? No, you're from the US. So that same way I'm from Nigeria, I'm not from Africa. I'm an African, but you just don't make it look as though, no, it's a country. No, we have different countries in Africa and we are all Africans actually. So you educate them. Maybe that can help them in their decision making towards you. So let's move to the next question, Ms. Amaka. During the course of application, most institutions will insist that we pay application fee. And sometimes there are waivers and we don't even know. But very important is the fact that if you pay, you don't pay, most of the time it does not signify a successful form of application. So please, what do you advise us to do? Or are there means for us to navigate not paying these applications at all and still be able to apply for courses we had hoped to apply for? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. Not all schools have application fees, but most of them do offer application fees. So what I would say is one of the ways that most schools offer application fee is through their information sessions. So when you attend their information session, they're going to give you app fee waivers. If you attend like open houses, you know, they're going to issue app fee waivers. Another way that some schools offer application fee is through by your association with membership with an association. So if you are a McNair scholar, a veteran, Peace Corps scholar, all of those things, automatically they would award you application fee waiver. Another way which I do, sometimes they do grad school application week. So sometimes there are weeks or months that schools bring out and be like, oh, if you apply within this time period, you're gonna get it for free, right? So another thing that I do personally when I was applying was, first of all, understand. That is why it is very necessary that you start way early in time, right? Understand, because if you're planning for fall 2024, I believe that by March, yes, that early, by March, you should have a list of schools that you're applying to. And truth about this getting a list is that sometimes you might not really stick to that list 100%, but getting a list will somehow shape your thinking and approach towards a particular school. And somehow you get to know what their do's and don'ts requirements are way early on in time. If these are things that you are okay with, fine. If they're not something that you are okay with, you can put them off the list. There are more than 5,000 schools in the United States. So there are plenty of options to go with. So one thing I like to do is, first of all, some schools would waive your app fee based on financial or economic issues. So if you're in Nigeria, the minimum wage is way below $50. you can use that as a case point and make your case to the graduate admission committee or the necessary office, because sometimes it's not even the graduate admissions committee that waive the app fee, it is the department itself. Sometimes it is the graduate. So before you even send all of these messages, understand from the websites which is waiving application fees, and then make your case appropriately. Another way that some schools waive application fee, aside from economic this thing, for me, I'm a first generation student, right? So first generation student means that both of your parents didn't go to college. So college is like university. So for mine, they didn't even go to, they didn't even finish secondary school, right? So I would also use that to make a case, because they somehow prioritized all of those kind of people, because they believe that the ground is not leveled for you, which is true, right? So they will make exempt for you in terms of paying application fee. Another way which I also would recommend is, if you have a list of school and you want to get an application fee out of them, sometimes they will have list of schools, list of organizations that, or if you belong to this organization, National Black Science Engineers, blah, 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 Chicano Studies, blah, blah. And now, all of these associations, mostly their core values are in terms of pathway programs. So pathway programs are like programs that exist in a way to nurture people like Edu Afrique, right? In a way to nurture people from maybe high school, the way they are nurturing and training people to prepare you very well, to prepare you for a better, maybe graduate school application and all of that. If you're volunteering for Edu Afrique, for example, you could use that and make a case, you know. I am not, that is actually why you should, so I'm saying this because I'm in communication. So you should also understand how to make a case for anything, even if it's GRE, TOEFL, all of that. So you could make a case that, yes, you are not a member of National Science Black Engineers, because how will you be a member of that when you're in Nigeria or when you're in Africa? Because most of those organizations exist in the United States. However, the core values of Edu Afrique and that of NSBE and that of Chicano Studies and that of this align together. Do you understand the core values? So you are making that case that, hey, because you're offering waivers for this kind of organization and Edu Afrique core value aligns with something like that, you think that it's not your right. Hello, guys, it is not a privilege. It's a privilege. It's not your right. So that you think that it is fair enough to also grant you fee waiver based on that. Another way is, if you are, so for example, I'm a member of Black in AI, right? And a lot of schools actually acknowledges Black in AI. So because Black in AI, the AI field as we know it in the United States, in fact, in the world, is a field that is filled with white people, white researchers. So Black in AI exists too. So most of those things kind of like provide diversity of voices, multiplicity of voices, right? So Black in AI exists to provide multiplicity of voices in AI discourses, especially for Black people who are suffering from AI bias or AI effects most of the time. So if I am going to apply for any school right now, most schools would offer me fee waivers. Even if I am not in Black in AI, I currently volunteer for Brevin. Brevin is like a pathway, just like Edu Afrique, but they kind of like collaborate with schools in the United States. So what they do is they focus on first generation students and then provide a structured program for them in a way to nurture them to get out there in the field and get a strong first job or get into graduate school, which is basically what Edu Afrique is for, right? So even if I didn't see Brevin and I am not a member of Black in AI, there are way more, trust me, there are way more associations, especially McNair. You will literally see McNair on almost every application, McNair Scholars, right? So McNair is basically like a pathway program too. So if you are volunteering for Edu Afrique, if you're reviewing people's SOP for Edu Afrique, and that is why volunteering is a good thing, right? So you could make a case for that. And I also am volunteering for Northern Illinois Food Bank. So Northern Illinois Food Bank is like a food bank like this is like a pantry. They basically share food to everybody. So you could also make a case from that, like, hey, maybe you didn't grow up suffering from this kind of thing, but your volunteering experience with Northern Illinois Food Bank has actually exposed you to economic disparity that people face. That is community service, and they prioritize all of those kind of services. So all of this is why I say, so if you're applying, I do not think that, that if you're applying for 2024, I feel like somehow that is not in time, like it's a little bit late in the process. But if you're applying for maybe like spring, you should start doing all of that right now. For Brevin specifically, Brevin would even want remote volunteers, leadership coach, right? If you're in AI field, computer science, mathematics, statistics, all of those algorithm automation stuff, you could join Black in AI. There are so many. If you're an engineer or if you're going for engineering, look for NSBE, join all of those programs, search for them. They could accept you from any part of the world. That is what they're literally looking for, diversity. They want your voice. They want you to be represented at the national level or American political space. So if you are joining all those programs, even if they are not listed, as long as the core values align, you could make a case for that. Because now I'm saying this because I've seen it work for a lot of people that I am mentoring, right? I would tell them, hey, because I told them way ahead in time, right? They'll be like, oh, but they didn't see Black in AI. I'm like, make a case for it. And they would make a case for it and they will get application fees. Another thing is, application fee is not your right. And while I also really advocate for application fee waivers, there are schools that even if you like be an American, if you like the Trump's daughter, they will not waive it for you. Why we are kind of like scrambling for fee waivers so that we will save costs, which dollar is not really on our side right now. And I would even advise saving costs. It is also very important that you understand what application fee waiver also means, apart from the economic implications. Application fee waivers also mean that you are getting so many competitions. Hello. If a school is waiving their application, if one school is not waiving the application and they're getting maybe 100 applications, and if a school is waiving the application, they might get 500 applications. That means if your chance was 10%, among 100 applicants, it has further reduced to 0.5%, or even way less, to 500 applications. Right, and that is actually what some schools do. They'll be like, oh, we just need the highest, we just need the best people. So they open up the application portal to get the best of the best to choose. So while you are also really scrambling for application fee waivers, if you can see maybe one or two schools that you could, maybe they don't really waive, you really love this school, like to your bone marrows, and all effort has proven abortive, that they cannot waive the app fee for you. If it's something that you can afford, please pay for it. And especially some of these schools, you would ask, I would even advise that you somehow could email the professors that you intend to work with. So that way, so one thing is that if a professor tells you go on and apply, that does not signify that you must be accepted or they must fund you. America is a place that almost everybody wants to be politically correct. No professor will tell you, no, don't apply. Hello. They won't tell you don't apply. Some will be honest enough to tell you, I don't have funding, I'm not accepting PhD students, I'm not accepting this, I'm not accepting. Some will be blunt enough to tell you that. But some will not tell you, the application is not looking good, don't apply. Some will be rude enough to say, like, look at your English, you know, that kind of things. Some are like that. But that they are, unless the professor specifically, because I know someone, I think Jeff, is in USC. So we worked together when he was preparing. The woman literally told him, please wait, don't apply to another school. I am going to take you. And Jeff applied to another school and told the woman that, hey, apply to another school. This is the kind of offer they gave me. The woman said, okay, you know what? I'm going to pay your service fee. I'm going to pay your applied fee. They paid everything. And that was the incentive they used to bring him, right? So unless they are very explicit in funding, don't just assume that, oh, they advised me to, of course, it's an advisement. Right. So that is basically it on fee waiver. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. So despite the fee waiver, please do well to explore options. Do well to have a lot of lists. Do well to apply to at least one or two that requires you to pay. So at least it reduces the competition. Thank you so much, Ami. This is really great. So please, I'll be moving to Mr. Emmanuel. Mr. Emmanuel, why do some schools require international students to take the English examination, despite English being their official language? For example, applicants from Nigeria and Ghana. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's the yeah, even though English is like our English is not like our official language. Let's be clear about that. English is just as our second language. But the thing is that most of us do not, provide evidence. Definitely, most schools will say, I know 80% of schools in America will say, if you are from Africa, apart from South Africa, some will give waiver to South Africa, and which other country in Africa, again, they normally give waiver, but every other African country you have to provide English proficiency test. But most of the times we don't make a case for ourselves, as Amaka said, we don't make a case for ourselves. Like, I know in my own case, I told my department that English have been my official language since elementary till my workplace. I've been speaking English for the rest of like how many years? So, and why do I still have to provide English proficiency test? And I made reference to support my case. I made reference to the interview I had with one of the faculty. I said, if you want to check my proficiency, both in speaking and in listening and everything, you can make reference to this interview on so date. And I don't know, the next morning, I saw an email, the proficiency was waived for me. So, but most of the times I'm not saying that writing it is not good, your writing it is good, but look at, for example, you're writing the IELTS and they have a bandwidth you have to get. And if you did not get those bandwidth, you'll repeat it again till you add all these things are money. But if you can make a case for yourself, make a case for yourself. Yeah. Tell them, yeah, you've been speaking English, like, because I think the basic thing is that you can read, you can understand, you can communicate, you can, listen and all those things. So if you can make a case for yourself, make a case for yourself. If not, try to, if they say that, yeah, that you should go ahead and take it. But if not, make a case for yourself and they will be.
Thank you so much. So please do well to make some case, send them reasons why, especially with references, okay? If you already have a published work, an article, you can't tell me that you don't know English and you're able to write an article. So that is like an evidence. So whatever case you want to build, support with an evidence. If you are in an organization or something that you would have to speak, or you are involved in some public speaking, you have some recorded clip, either on YouTube or somewhere, show them, let them see that, oh, you are able to communicate very well in English and you're able to understand and you can listen very well as well. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. So now I'll be moving to Mr. Samuel. Yeah, Mr. Samuel, are you, is he around? Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So my question is, what are the tips you will give us to build a good credit score? Some students during the course of their study don't know that it's actually a means for them to utilize that 5 years or 3 years of MSc and PhD to build a good score that can end them having a house or a car after schooling or something, or involving themselves in some investment and the rest of them. So please, we need these tips so we don't make mistakes. How can we build good credit scores in the US? Thank you.
You are muted.
You can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I actually don't know why Stanley chose to give me some of these questions, but it's okay. Building a credit score, a good credit score in America. So first of all, I want to say that sometimes a lot of policies we see in the American system looks a little bit weird for someone coming from a Nigerian background. So I have my own money, and yet the government wants me for the sake of the reason that for me, in order for me to be able to buy houses much later in the future, or probably the government lend me loans in the future, or do some certain kinds of high financial intense investments in the future, that I need to have a very good credit score. And so they begin to loan me money to buy stuff that I can easily buy with my own money. And so they begin to judge me based on my ability to pay back that cash on time, and my ability not to spend most of the money to the point that I reach the max of the credits they give to me. It's a little bit weird, but it's part of their system and it's how it works. So when I came here newly, I was literally struggling with that because I don't want to be in debt. I don't want someone knocking on my door tomorrow and I will not be sleeping properly. I'll just sleep with one eye open because I need to pay back some of the funds that I've spent from my credit card. But after a while, I had to unlearn and have a grasp of the reality that it's something you need to do if you actually want to do huge financial stuff in the US much later in life. Okay, so I think one of the most important things you need to start from is to have, at least number one, a very good credit product. So since coming here to the US, a lot of companies have sent us emails, have sent us mails in our mailboxes with their credit card, talking about their APR and some of the things they have to do, cashback policies and all of that. So I simply ask questions from Nigerians who have been here before me on very good credit card programs or products that are very good. And some of them made recommendations. I may not say some of them here, so that you need to make your own research to find out, because it has to do with money. So the best place to really start from is to find a very good credit card product. There are a lot of them out there. There are a lot of products out there. We have Chase, we have Discover, we have Ally. There are a lot of them out here people are using. So the very good one to do is to start from that product, know which product suits you, especially as an international person. Remember too, there are privileges you don't have. I like to let people know that the earlier you understand that, the better you try to pave your way. Okay. And so number two, don't request for credit that you don't have need for. So first of all, you need to learn how to manage your finances, probably become a little bit financially literate on how to manage money and all of that. Don't request for a credit that you don't have need for. For me, what I use my credit card to do is to make some certain kinds of purchases. If I have need for a new computer for study or an iPad for reading papers and all of that, that's what I basically use my credit card to do, or make some online payments. And I will try as much as possible to keep track of those payments to know how I'm spending them. So based on the little research I made, there are policies you have here in the US that you're not supposed to spend more than 30% of the credits that you have available. So for example, you can, when you arrive here, you can decide to, based on your income, request for a credit. Some companies give to international students $3,000. Other ones give international students $1,500. Others give $1,000, as the case may be. They want to know how much you earn per annum or on a monthly basis. So when they give you that credit, you need to keep track of it. And don't spend more than 30%. So if you've been given 1,500, make sure you don't spend above 30%. Spend 30% or less. So the reason for that is, when you begin to spend almost very close to the max of the credit score you have, so they might think you have a spending problem. It's just like almost having insurance in the US here. If you're a risk driver, your insurance policy will be high. And so if you're a spendthrift in the US here, you have a very bad credit score. And it's going to affect you much later if you want to start doing things like mortgage in America, or maybe other high probably intense financial commitments much later in the future. So try to spend 30% or less of your credit score. Make sure you use them for appropriate things. Don't be a spendthrift. Stay within your means or your budget. Some of your online purchases you might want to make, you might want to use your credit card to do that. At the end of the month, you pay. Another good thing you can do to build a very good credit score is to pay on time every time. So for me personally, my payback period is usually on the 1st of every month. I don't know why they give me that. So I try as much as possible not to default on that. So it's like it's a trust, and you earn trust, and it's very easy to break. And once you break trust, it might take a little bit. American system doesn't forgive. If you fought the law, you are going to pay dearly for it, and that's one thing we've known. So try to stay within the course of the law by paying on time every time. If you have like a default time you're supposed to make your payment, they have like your current balance that you're supposed to pay for that month. Try as much as possible to pay and for that month. So let me check if there's anything I have here. So they also look at your history in the long run. We have this proverb that slow and steady wins the race. Consistently keep to the agreement you have on when you're supposed to pay back your credits or your credit card debts. Stick to that time. And when you have consistently built that integrity over time, it's easier for the government to trust you with high amount of money when you want to buy a mortgage, or when you want to decide to probably do investment that will require a lot of money. So the way the American financial system is built is that I don't know why they so much love that credit. It's a little bit fascinating and weird. So, but it's their system, and you're part of this system right now. You must learn to always honor it. Now, someone also told me this one, say, make sure you cross-check your credit card before you pay for the balance at the end of every month. Cross-check it to see that things that you're paying for are actually things you used your money to buy. There are a lot of crimes people commit here in the US. Example is identity theft. If someone lays hands on your social security number, the person can commit an identity fraud on your behalf. And someone can spend money using your credit card without even knowing. So make sure that whatever money you are paying for at the end of the month is something that you incurred yourself. If it's not, make sure you make report to the necessary authority. And if you see on some kinds of money or debts under your credit card that you didn't actually make purchase for, you can actually contest for that, right? So the highlights are basically like get a very good credit card product. Make sure you stay within your means, spend 30% or less on a monthly basis, and always pay back on time. Don't get close to your limit. And I think the last one is going to be, I don't know if this one is going to apply to international students, but I've read about it before. So some people have multiple credit cards so that it can give them more purchasing power. And so maybe when they want to now pay back, they align all of them into one credit card and probably make payment. So what that does is that when you take that kind of strategy, it pushes the amount of money you're going to pay back very close to the max. And so by doing that, it gives like some sort of negative signal to these people that you are a spendthrift, you spend more money. And don't request for extra credit. Probably you're running into something you want to request for extra credit. It's a weird system. I'm still learning about it. So for me, what I'm personally doing is I just try not to default on my payment schedule. I try to make sure I use my credit card to purchase things that are of necessity to me, like gadgets, school-related stuff, online purchases, and the rest of them. Yeah. So that's just basically how I think you can build a credit score, and also try to make research. Read, ask other Nigerians, or sorry for saying Nigerians, other international students who are here, or probably get into a conversation with American citizens who might be your colleagues or classmates or professors, as the case may be, and ask how you can build a very good credit score. They are a part of the system. It's their country. They will know better. They will know how to best advise you on how to do. And you can also leverage on your school's international house. Another very good institution you can leverage is the bank that you're using. For some of us new students here, we make use of the Bank of America. You can walk into that place and talk to any of the banking executives or representatives and ask them questions on how to build a very good credit score. I've also seen some master classes online about how to build a very good credit score. Some of them are of the opinion that even though you try not to default on your payment time, or you try to stay within 30% or less of your available credit, that you may not build a very good credit score. It's a little bit controversial, you know. So you can also leverage on some of those master classes and some other materials as well to gather knowledge from other people. I would really recommend you also ask people who are knowledgeable. Your school's international house, the banking system, your professors in college, if they have time, they can also have that kind of conversation with you. That's my take on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the insightful words and answers to this question. So please try to build a good credit score. For me and those of us, especially in Asia, I would advise just walk straight to the bank and ask questions. They will give you all the answers you need, because they would even warn you not to do anything against like the policy of the bank. So in Asia, most especially, go straight to the bank and ask. But in the US, you can explore a lot of means. There are lots of means in the US. So moving next to the question is for Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles, please. The question is, how can the US Department of Education and State optimize returns on their investment in sponsoring international students studying in the United States? Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And thank you once more to Brother Sam. I think Brother Sam should change his course to strategy and leave that computer science and go and read strategy. He will do well in that. Thank you, Sam, for the wonderful insight. Now, talking on ROI, the question, when I looked at it, I say, how can I educate the educators? The US Department, they know what they are doing. They should figure out how much return on investment they should have. You know, just talking about return on investment, it means that the scholarship they offer, the opportunities they provide, is an investment. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And so if it's an investment, they must have sat down, because I am operating from a country where we don't think, where we don't follow strategy. So to advise people who think and follow strategy becomes very, very difficult for us to handle. But that notwithstanding, you know, when Sam was talking before now, and we saw the picture of people going to shops to get things free of charge. We saw opportunities where you are giving credit cards. And we that studied political economy some time ago, we thought that Americans were capitalists. We never knew that they were socialists wearing the cloth of capitalism. You know, that's just by the way. Now, going straight to the return on investment, my little take and my addition is that one, all the students offered a scholarship, so to speak, could be, no matter the course you are reading, should be allowed to engage in industrial attachment. Now, I'm sure you do that, and I'm not sure whether it is holistic. Now, you know, in Nigeria here, for instance, some organizations rush to orientation camps to get in the corpers to work for them, because they pay them peanuts, yet they will still provide the services that a full person, let me say a full person, will provide. So in that way, startup companies normally make use of them because they can pay less and still get return on that investment. So industrial attachment should become a must for all the students. Is it just a suggestion? And secondly, those that have graduated and are staying back to work for 1 year or 2 years, or that may want to continue to stay, should be, you know, put in the right channel or right areas or right fields where they could work. Now, what I mean by that is that the US, they know where a lacuna exists in terms of their working, in terms of work. They know where they need people to work. And so they know where the economy is lagging behind in terms of lack of manpower. So irrespective of the courses, those people that pass through scholarship must have, you know, graduated from, I'm not saying they should deviate so much from that, but they could channel them to those areas that will shore up the economy of America in that direction. In that way, they are, optimizing return on investment because they invested in them and they need to recoup whatever they have invested on these students. So I talked about industrial attachment. I talked about guided employment. Let me use that language to cover it up when the students must have graduated so that wherever they are working, there are areas where Americans need people to actually work and be able to shore up the economy in that direction. I think also that they could establish, because they have the data, US or some other developed countries, they operate on data. They have the data of every student that they offer scholarship to. They could establish a fund, that as those people are working, they could make them to put in 1 or 2 kobo, or rather 1 or 2, I don't know what you call it over there, $1 or $2 into that fund. Now, that fund will also assist the various departments, the various faculty, and the various universities. Now, Emmanuel Ume was talking about sometimes they only admit 1 student or 2 or 3. I'm sure they're admitting that because they don't have much funds for that. So they could create alternative fund system where $1 or $2 from those that they have helped who are already working for 1 year or 2 years or thereabout could contribute so that they could also pull funds from there instead of allowing only 1 student to come in mathematics for this year. From that fund, they can also allow 2 students to come in. In that way, they're expanding the scope. They are also, mobilizing funds, and they're also getting return on their investment, as the case may be. I think these are a few things that if they are going to do, because forming alumni, of all of you that have gone through scholarship, could also become another source that they can explore and get something out of you still, even though they are not going to infringe on your fundamental rights. But by way of American being socialist, like I have talked about before, they could also appeal to you to contribute to that fund, and then you use it to sponsor other people who are coming, and they can also retain some change from there to also put back to the economy of the country. And so by so doing, it will help them to recoup what they have invested and to maintain the scholarship scheme, as the case may be. Thank you so much.
So I'll be going to our next panelist. And please, this time around, I'll be asking really very short questions. And I wish we just get very quick answers, like very brief answers to them. So at least we can go through some of the interesting questions we have. But, due to time, we like to keep to time whenever we have any event in EduAfrica, knowing that people already have their time scheduled for a lot of things. So, Ms. Amaka, please, the question I would like to ask you is, what are the best tips to secure on-campus jobs and assistantship position while schooling in the US? You are muted.
So thank you. I believe that a lot of schools in in US, have like a platform where they advertise positions. For my school, they use Husky Get Hired. And another thing is that, like me, I do not work as a TA or an ROA for my department. I work outside of the department. I got like a tuition scholarship. My whole tuition was waived before I came here. So, but I needed stipend, right? Because after schooling, I need to eat, right? So one of the ways that I used was utilizing my school platforms where they post online jobs. And also to kind of like wrap it up, talk to people, because there are so many positions that they don't even post or advertise. So when you talk to people, especially the African community or the Nigerian community or Kenyan community, depending on how close-knitted you are, they can tell you about open positions. Or let me take, for instance, I'm graduating next year, right? And I know that I'm graduating. I know that that position is definitely going to be vacant. I know that they are going to fill that position. So if someone is talking to me, even before they advertise that position, do you understand? There are so many tips I could give the person. So first of all, use the general platform where they post most of this job or advertise most of this job, and then talk to people, utilize the network or community that you have. Thank you.
So much. And is it possible for someone who just have an HND to be privileged to having some of these opportunities too? Is it possible?
Of course. I personally have a HND. So, and it was really uncommon. It is, not was. It's still really uncommon because the trajectory, the traditional framework in Nigeria is that after ND, your HND, and then there's that dichotomy between BSc and HND, you know? And then the traditional trajectory is that after your HND, for you to proceed for your master's degree, you do a 1.6 months PGD, postgraduate diploma, right? So honestly, I had always wanted to further my education beyond my undergraduate level, but that 1.6 months thing, it didn't really make sense to me, honestly. Even though there was no money that time, but it didn't make sense to me that I'm going to spend 6 whole years in a polytechnic doing something that someone in the university did, or sometimes even way better, because polytechnic, you have to be submerged into practical works, like a lot. So I felt like it didn't really make sense to me until I got to know about other opportunities. So people that have, like if you know someone that knows someone that knows someone, because I would assume that people here are mostly BSc holders or BA holders. So, but it is very possible that if you have your HND, there's so many schools like that. Another thing that I would say is if you have a HND, you could do WES evaluation, like evaluate your transcripts, your HND, and you have to join them together, because if it's just ND, it is not a bachelor's. If it's just HND, it is not a bachelor's. Separately, they are just 2 associate degrees. But once you bring them together, they become a whole degree, right? A whole bachelor's. Like they become not bachelor's, but equivalent of bachelor's. So you could combine the 2 transcripts together, the 2 degrees together, 2 diplomas together, evaluate your transcripts and shoot for schools. There are also schools on my Twitter page. I was active, now I'm no longer active because education is educating me here. But I've actually given like exhaustive list of schools that I interacted with. Others I know who have HND have interacted with that accept HND even without WES evaluation. So to cut costs. So even if you don't have WES evaluation, you could look at those lists and then apply. For example, my school here, Northern Illinois University, they quite well understand that a HND is a BSc equivalent. So there are also other schools like that. I think Worcester or something, like even Worcester Polytechnic or something, Polytechnic Institute or something. I know some people who currently have applied to the school with their HND. Yes, so some schools like that also would understand that you have that and it's possible. I mean, I'm here, I did it, so I believe that you can do it, or whoever you know can do it. Thank you.
So much. Thank you. I'm so grateful for your insightful words into this. Everybody's always very concerned. How do I get in? Am I qualified? So please, I would like to ask our audience and participants, have we been able to answer your questions, or is there certain questions we have not addressed? Please, in 2 minutes, if you have a question you think we have not been able to address in this webinar today, can you raise your hand? Okay, I think no one.
Okay, I think someone has gift open now.
Okay, so after gift, that is it. So please, Gift, you can unmute, you have the floor. Can we hear from you?
Okay, good evening.
You're welcome, good evening.
Okay, all right. I want to ask a question. I've been worried about something, this what's it called, proof of residence. I actually made an inquiry with someone in EduAfric, and I was told to go to court and this. But I don't really know, isn't there a better substitute to going to court and getting a proof of residence? That's my question.
Any of the panelists can answer.
So my question is, what do you mean by proof of residence?
Okay, I was applying for one scholarship, and I was like, I got to a point where I was asked to provide proof of residence, and they made it clear for me there that I shouldn't upload a passport. So I don't really know what it means. So I asked, and I was told I should go to court and all that. I don't really know.
Well, in my
Well,
own
if okay,
contribution, do you want to say something?
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. So in my contribution, I would say when they ask you to present an evidence of your residence, they just want to be sure of where you reside, because some countries don't have a means of verifying your citizenship, and maybe due to their immigration not being so strong, you know, one thing you should know is when any country or organization asks you to do some certain kind of verification outside of their own organization, that means they don't have a means of verifying you. So that's why they would ask you to get that. So it's more like it's going to tell them if you're a citizen of that country and where you reside. And okay, for you to have gone to the court for such kind of thing, it also tells about your credibility or something about where you're coming from. So this also applies to universities that we ask you to send your results through WES and the rest of them. They don't have a means of verifying those results if they're authentic. Why you will see some institutions whereby you submit and they don't even ask for any form of voice or something. That's because they have a way of verifying those results. So it's more, verification is one of the major reasons why you will have to go through some certain stress by submitting your applications. Yeah. So please go to court and get it. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to ask her, like, what's
sorry, please, can you wait? Sorry, please. Obasi, please. Miss Amaka, please, can you say something? Thank you.
I believe that her question is, she knows she's going to go to court. Her question is there like an alternative way of doing it if not going to go? So when I came here, I wanted to get my, I think, driver's license or state ID, either of that. They would actually request for proof of residence, right? Or even when you want to open a bank account. So in my understanding of that, so you could use your bank statement. So print your bank statement, a signed copy of your bank statement. You usually have your residential address. So signed copy of your bank statement, it has to be signed and stamped. So that stamp is also giving authority to see that this document is genuine. And I feel like that is a subsidized way of also proving that you reside in a specific area, even though it's for verification, right? Another thing you can do is basically like write that particular organization and say, hey, this is what I have, or this is what I have. Is it acceptable before even uploading it? That way, you don't just upload something in ignorance or feel a vacuum in your head and be like, oh, they're going to, because Amaka suggested is bank statement, they're going to accept it, you know? You're wasting time of maybe, if it's something they're not going to accept, you're wasted time of kind of like saying, you want to, time that you use and do something else, or even get the actual one that you're required of. So you could email them and be like, hey, this is what I have for proof of residence. Is a signed copy of this, blah, blah, blah. Is this accepted? If yes, you can go ahead and upload that. That is actually my 2 weeks. Thank you.
That's quite very, very nice. Please, try to email the school and ask if they would accept any other thing aside from you going to the court. But her suggestions are very valid, very, very valid.
But I want to ask her something.
Thank you. Mr. Stan, please, can we go on, or should we end here and then address the questions in Edu Afrik group?
Yeah, I think at this point we have actually reached, because our plans was to have this program for just 2 hours, and we have actually exceeded 2 hours, and Well, Emma wanted to say something for the lab. Maybe I think what you should do now is general, all the panelists should just say one or two things. Probably just throw out all the questions at once, the whole questions remaining, just within one minute on each of the panelists, just round off, and then we can end it in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, Obasi, please come on with your question. And if you also have other questions, please do well to just, once it's done, you ask your question. You don't even just keep asking, though we'll try to answer all the questions. Let's see if we can do this within 3 to 4 minutes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Obasi,
Okay.
I'm so sorry, please.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, from Mr. Charles, Mr. Stanley, Linda, Samuel, and Amaka, and the lecturer from my alma mater. I greet you all. I thank you all for all your thoughts that you've dished out this evening. I can't thank you enough. I joined the Edu Afrique barely a month now, and I must say I've learned a lot. I'm preparing for an interview, a visa interview this month, and I'm switching careers from civil engineering to nursing. Our friend from Uganda, Emmanuel Kanyanja, if I'm not mistaken, I hope I got the pronunciation right, made some insightful comments about that. I've been listening from the beginning, and I think that's why I thank you all. So I have one major question. Going for the interview, I'm mentioning that your relative who is in the US will be paying the deficit for your program. Would that impact your chances of getting the visa?
Manuel and Samuel, what do you have to say about this?
For the question, please let someone else ask another, because sometimes they ask similar questions so that we can be able to. Please, Miss Sandra, please, can you unmute and ask?
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, since I'm speaking from Nigeria, I'm happy to be a part of this wonderful discussion. Is
you're welcome.
Someone with a low GPA scholarship.
Admin, could you kindly mute Mr. Emmanuel because his sound is really affecting causing some feedback.
Okay. It's done.
Thank you.
Okay. I said someone with a low GPE, maybe from their undergraduate studies from the home country, and maybe this person now wants to get admission abroad or scholarship. Please, is it better for the person to do masters again in the home country to boost make the person get admission faster, or for the person to write GRE or other English and SAM so that it also increase the chances of the person getting an admission? Please, I want an advice. Thank you.
Okay. Can I answer?
We don't have no questions, so please.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. You can answer the questions.
So let me start from Okay, actually, I wanted to start from the second person. And maybe if that's okay, or you want me to go to the first person?
Right, it's fine. Just the way
all
you
right.
are.
So one thing you must understand from my own little experience, the little time I've spent here, is that just like Emmanuel said, these guys judge you from a holistic point of view. So we've seen cases of people who had very fantastic CGPA from top Nigerian institutions, and at the end of the day, they were not selected for scholarship opportunities here in the US. And then you see someone who had like quite an average CGPA from a Nigerian institution, had a very massive work experience plus volunteering, and they were selected ahead of those who had just very high GPA. So sometimes it's all about looking at this thing from a holistic point of view. These guys want well-rounded individuals. They look at your ability to give back to the society, your ability to be a holistic individual, rather than just someone who is bookish. Are you creative? So for someone who had a very low GPA, there's a group I belong to. We had a story of a guy who had a second-class lower, what we call 2-2 in Nigeria, who got a fully funded scholarship opportunity. Stanley can attest to this testimony, who had a fully funded scholarship opportunity to one of the Ivy League schools here in the US, Dartmouth University. Their funding is, I think, $150,000 per year. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. His transcript was very huge. He didn't spend up to 2 seconds at the US Embassy and he was given his visa. The school gave him a fully funded scholarship, master scholarship opportunity in geology or geography. I can't say. So if you know you have a very low GPA, you ask yourself a very important question: how can I make up for the deficit that I have? A good thing to do is to get work experience related to your field. Volunteer massively. It's only in Nigeria people don't like to do things for free. Once you do, make sure you have lots of volunteering experiences padded with your CV and other things as well. Get a lot of certifications. There are programs you can do. For example, if you're in our field in computing, AI, and most of them, you have free classes you can take on IBM, classes you can take on Coursera, you have Udemy, you have Udacity. There are a lot of them. Allison.org. There are a lot of them you can take classes for free and have those certificates. You can also go to yali.org. For some of you who will be applying for this probably fall semester or spring, you can go to yali.org and take some of their short courses that is just for 30 minutes. There are short courses that are just for 30 minutes and get all the whole certifications in leadership, servant leadership, youth and community development. In your areas of study, there are a lot of them, they are just few. So what can you do to boost your opportunity? The question first, is it possible you can get scholarship? Yes. How can you do that? Look for areas you have a deficit in and try to boost them through improved work experience. Nigerians don't like to do things for free. Someone giving into a secret that most billionaires use here in the US. Some of them do unpaid internships. It's a competition. During summer, a lot of students go for unpaid internship. For we international students, we might not really be able to do that because we need to pay for bills. But if you can take care of yourself, do unpaid internships, put them there. It gives them the overview that this guy wants to give back to the society. So they don't just judge you based on your GPA alone. So also write some of these test scores. I wrote TOEFL, I wrote GRE. I wrote 2 of them, even though the school I'm currently in now didn't require them. But it was like a way of giving me an edge over people who might be. I didn't make a first class, but I had a very good score. I was top 3 in my class, had a scholarship in my undergrad. But I had to write those things to like boost my profile as an individual. So those are things you can actually do. It's very, very possible. And I can't actually remember the first question. Again, I just wanted to touch that a little bit before the panelists do that. I can't remember the first question.
Mr. Obasi, please can you repeat yourself? Mr. Obasi. Mr.
Yes, I'm
Obasi.
here.
Please,
I can hear you. I'm
repeat
here.
your question?
Okay, I said, mentioning that your relative in the US, who is in the US, will pay for your deficit.
Yeah.
Will it affect your chances of getting the visa?
Yeah, from my little experience, I may say yes. So here is the reason why. So having someone who is already in the US and the person is paying for your deficit gives up the vibe that you might not return home after studies. Because one of the questions they ask you at the embassy is, what are your home ties? You must have something that always want to bring you back to the home, probably a business, family members, or any other opportunity you have back in Nigeria if you're a Nigerian like myself. So if you have a family member who is resident in the US, the VO might look at you like somebody who is just like you're having, there's a key word for that, like you're having Japa tendencies or thereabout, that you're not going to come back home. So the best thing we advise people to do is let out your relative in the US. If he trusts you, so he or she trusts you so much, let them transfer that funds to either your personal account or your mom or your immediate nuclear family, so that when you're coming with the proof of funds to the embassy, it's going to be bearing your name and the funds are inside your account or your mom or your dad's account. Once it's someone who is in the US and you're going to the same US, they say you're not going to come back. And it might be an avenue for them to deny you visa. Yet again, there are a lot of exceptions, things happen, but I'm just telling you from my own little experience. So the best thing to do is to get that guy to transfer those funds into your own account, and you go tell them that the money is yours, or transfer it to your dad or your mom or a brother's account, and they'll take care of the deficit. But if it's someone who's in the US and you're going to the US, they say, oh boy, this bobo is not going to come back, and they might deny you on those grounds. That's my humble take.
So much, Mr. Sam. Please, can you give us 1 or 2 words of advice as we wrap up?
All right. So for me, your dreams are very valid. That's one thing I would tell every single person. Traveling abroad for study changes a lot of things. First of all, there's a popular quote I have. A dragon and a panda was going on a journey, and the panda asked the dragon a question: what's more important, the destination or the journey? The panda said, the dragon answered, the company you keep. So life on itself is a journey, and at every phase or strata of that journey, you must learn to believe in yourself. Your dreams are very valid. Don't allow people talk down on you or look down on you or make you think you're not capable. You're more than enough. That's what I would tell people. Put in the work. There's something we call the law of delayed gratification. Ensure that you delay gratification and put in the necessary work, because at the end of 10, 15, 20, or 30 years, you will look like your decisions. It's just life, and it's real. You understand? Your dreams are very valid. Your goals are very valid. You can do it. I don't care if you have like a very low GPA, man, that you should care though. But if you've gone to that place, always think from an improvisational point of view. What do I do to make better of my situation? And leverage on resources. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You can always do it. That's what I tell people. Now, both of as a young person, please find God early. That's what I would tell people. Find God very early. Try and leave legacies for your children to come. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's try to keep legacy for our children. That's quite important. At least, first of all, keep for yourself.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ima Ume, please, can you give us your 2 cents, your advice, your words of encouragement, or what you have for us as we run off for this webinar? Thank you. Can you unmute?
Mute. Oh, wait. Yeah, I will use one stone and summarize everything I want to say. Yeah, I know there's this push. Everybody wants to travel to study abroad, and right now US and Canada have been like a big place that because of the opportunities there. But before you start thinking to travel, I want you to first of all think about this. What idea am I bringing here? That is a very key. What idea am I bringing here? And that idea is tied to your research. Because for you to do quality work, for you to even finish your studies and you are staying, if you want to stay back, for you to finish your studies and you say you want to stay back here and work, it's still tied back to the idea. Before people even listen to you here, they want to listen to the idea, the contribution you're bringing. And that's number one. Number two, I keep saying this, I keep emphasizing this, even with the Magnet Scholars and mentoring, for people going to grad school, like for PhD, I don't know about masters. Most of the time, it's not about because your friend got admission in this school, you want to apply. Take it easy. Let it take you 2 years, 3 years. For me to even it took me like 4 years before I was able to accept it. I have to travel to Brazil first before I move back to United States. Do like a thorough research of like who is the best fit, whose professor's work is more connected to my work, to my idea. Write a proposal, try to publish something, try to put your voice there. Then go on LinkedIn, communicate with the professors, chat with them, talk about their work. These are the things that, even if they don't have the open for the year, they will tell you, okay, you can apply for like next 2 years. So it's very, very, it's not about I want to travel. No, go through the process. The process matters a lot. Then the final one I want to say, and I'll wrap it up here. please be careful of scholarships you apply. Most scholarships, they won't tell you the nitty-gritty. Be careful of scholarships you apply. There are some scholarships you apply, and when you reach the country, you will stop there. And here, nobody's, like someone said, nobody's gonna give you a dime. I promise you, I bet you. See, nobody is going to give you 1 naira. Nobody. So be very, very careful of whatever you are applying, whatever you're putting. There are a lot of scam scholarships. Sorry, there are a lot of scam scholarships right now. Even our so-called people that are scam people are using scholarships to even scam people.
Yeah.
So be very careful of whatever you apply. Know the source. Before you even apply, try to contact someone that is there and say, please, can you check this, the credibility of this scholarship before I apply? Because some people will tell you, oh, this is this. And at the end of the day, you have to find out you have to pay like a makeup of those stuff. I have a lot of people that I even have to talk to here. I have someone that arrived from Nigeria to United States, and the person is stuck because the school fee is like about 27,000 plus, and they don't even have the money. They don't have the money because they feel like they guess, So I urge all of us to go through the process. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Imada. That was quite very, very insightful. Please, before you get to the US or any other country, your Japan journey, hey, I beg, ask so. Don't want to ask questions. Just don't fly and go and say, okay, visa granted, and then you just start heading. Take note of your stipend, take note of how much is coming, take note of your expenditures, take note of accommodation, housing. These are many questions we had in store, but due to time, please take note of all of this in your journey of JAPA so you don't get there and from students you turn to maybe plate washer or something. Please be careful, please. So please, moving to the next speaker, Mr. Emmanuel Kayanja. Please, can you give us your words of advice, 1 or 2 sentences as we round off this webinar?
Yes. Thank you very much, Linda. I'll do so quite quick to advise, especially students that are going within the US. Once you're there, adapt to the culture, like fit in, because you have to fit in, and then you get to know how other people are also living. And also perform well. Academic excellence is very important because now people expect the people that sent you to the, sometimes in Africa, when we are going, we normally fundraise from family members and people have high expectations of us. So if you come back when you have failed, they will laugh at you. So we have to perform well, have good marks at the end, and come back a victorious person. Community, engaging in the community of the school, community of the university, visit the council of the state, probably go to the district, visit them. I could call it a state office, visit them, find out your interests that align with you. If it is leadership, align. If it is, say, reading, go to the state library or the municipal library and begin networking. Very important, network. If there is an event, try to fit in yourself. Try to attend the event, whether you are invited or not. Try to find an invitation, be part of an event, whether it is virtual or even physical. It is one way you can grow a network that will give you a very big push for your career. Because studying abroad, especially in the US, it's a very big opportunity that you can benchmark off, that can change the rest of your course of your entire family. Culture change, cultural exchange, definitely have to exchange with different people, and also look at things at a global perspective, and also think in a very entrepreneurial manner, so that by the time you return, you are able to make some money that can sustain your own family at the same time. Because after school, then what? Because those are like 4 years after school, then what follows? And then finally, connect with your people. Don't go and forget about us. You people who go to America and forget, and then you come back, you don't understand your local language. Come back, connect with your people, speak to them, and try as much as possible to connect with your family, so that you are so much connected back to your country, and as you grow. In a nutshell, I thank you very much. Thank you, Linda, for moderating this very long session. And I'm sure you deserve a glass of water where you are. And I think Stanley and fellow speakers, that is Professor and Mr. Samuel, you people have great insights, and Emmanuel, thank you so much. And I'm very glad to have been on the same panel with you. Anytime soon, some of you will receive some emails from us who are also interested in coming to the US to take the education. Over to you. Thank you so much. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are.
So please, we have heard from him. When you travel abroad, please don't be shy, don't be too humble. Showcase what you are made up of in a humble way, but you don't be too humble. Yes, make known to them what you are made up of. Don't forget where you come from. Just be you and be proud of who you are. Where I am presently, I'm like the only Black in my department, but
Wow.
I don't know the competition that they do that I won't be involved. So in anything you do, I'm very sure that most people now see Black as something special. I have professors call me to their office to ask questions.
Yeah.
You don't need to talk. They would want to hear from you. So please, Black is beautiful. Black don't crack. So
That's
just
right.
yeah.
Right.
So please, thank you so much, sir. I'm so proud to be a lady of color. Yeah, I'm so special, and I know that. So please, now we're moving to the next speaker. Mr. Charles, please, can you give us 1 or 2 sentences? Thank you, as we round off.
Yeah, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Mine is going to be 1 or 2 sentences indeed. Firstly, I want to appreciate those of you that are out there. And I want to also appreciate those that are aspiring to be there. At the end of the day, everybody is looking for success. And I'm sure you are on the route to success. Bear that in mind. Hold your shoulders up. And I tell you one thing again, try to add emotional intelligence and relational abilities. You can graduate with the best grade, but you may not be successful in life until you have a substantial level of emotional and relational abilities. Balance it. Let the school go through you and also go through the school. And I'm sure, like I said, you are on the route to success. I assure all of us, by the grace of God, we will all attain success. Bravo to everyone, all the speakers, and especially my strategic speaker. Thank you, EduAfrica, for the platform you have provided. Indeed, we are recommending you to the Department of Education and U.S. Department of State. I prophesy that in no distant time, you will be incorporated fully. And the good works will be expanded and expounded. Thank you so much, and God bless us.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you for the prayers. Thank you for the wishes. Thank you for the words of advice. At least we have a parent in our midst, so we are that's so much glory. Thank you so much, sir. We are so we can't thank you enough for the time. Thank you. So moving to our panelists, Miss Amaka, please, can you give us 1 or 2 words of advice and encouragement and communication skills and all of those tips, to pull up our clothes.
Thank you so much. I believe that every other panelist have somehow encapsulated the general idea. But what I want to also add to it is that Japa. See, we all want to Japa. But what is behind the Japa? What I'm saying in essence is this. I would like to somehow give it as a recommendation that you think beyond Japa. Have a solid plan. Have a goal. Because that is why some people come here, Japa. Some even use courses that they don't like, Japa. When they come here, they get frustrated. They want to transfer out of their program. They don't know what to do. They are failing. They are doing really bad in their classes because what they had in mind was jackpot, jackpot, jackpot. So what I'm saying in essence is, I know we all want to leave, yeah, true. But please have a solid plan. And having a solid plan does something to help you. It somehow clears your mind of all of these fantasies you have built up. I know a lot of people that, oh my God, my school is in New York. They are already imagining themselves taking pictures in front of a tall building. They're already imagining themselves, doing really good things. Oh my God, I want to take pictures, send to my family. Those fantasies cloud your reasoning. That is the truth. So until you have a solid plan on ground, you can't really, don't just surround your whole journey, your whole dream around just jackpot. Because when you surround your goals around jackpot, when you get here, you start to get confused, you start to get frustrated, and that is when the system gets the best of you. And finally, I have a quote that I use at briefing for my cohorts. I would say sometimes it is not about what you know, but about who you know. Because at the end of it all, like our lecturer has said it, and I think someone also said something like that. Sometimes you may know something, you might be a high flyer, you might be the best student, but when you don't really know the right people, when you don't build the right connections, you are not going anywhere near your dreams. And these connections can come maybe from your church, from your community, LinkedIn connections. Just build that relationship, right? Build it. Sometimes it's not about what you know. It is about who you know. And who you know can open the door for you to test out what you know, right? That is what I want to say. And thank you all, EduAfrique, for this wonderful opportunity and this platform. I am very honored. Thank you.
Oh yeah, my namesake. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you on the same platform. It's so great. Thank you. And I would want to thank everyone. Thank you, Mr. Stan. Thank you to the panelists. And thank you enough for honoring our invitation. And I would also want to say we are sorry for the time. We went off time. I'm not usually this way, but I was enjoying the conversation, the discussion. Thank you, everyone, for participating, for being a part of this. Without you, this event won't be a success. So please always remember you are bold, you are more than enough. You be confident, okay? In everything, just know that with you, it is done. With God, it is settled. So just know that you are just the right candidate for any application, job, school, anything, competition, anything. Just know that you are the best and no one can do it better than you. Just have that confidence within you and you see yourself making and pulling waves. Thank you so much. And on this note, I would like our host to speak, Mr. Stan. So you have the floor, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone. I don't know how to say thank you to all of you for making this a very wonderful session. I'm sorry, I planned that this is gonna be, we said it's gonna be 2 hours maximum, but because we were carried away by the thoughtful insights, the panelists, they gave more than I expected. All the panelists, Amaka, Samuel, Charles, Emmanuel, and other Emmanuel. In fact, it was insightful. I'm very, very, very happy that you guys actually gave in the best. You guys actually gave in your best. You guys, I always tell people that there is, no matter what, anybody you see in this country is strong in his or her own way. So don't look down on anybody. Don't look down on any single person, no matter what. So thank you all for your thoughtful insights. Samuel, sorry for this. I don't know why you don't know why I give you some of those questions. I know what you can. I know your capability. Before talking to any of you here, I already have personal contact or personal discussions with you, and I know what you can do, and I trust all of you. And I know that you guys are going to go a lot of places. You're going to make us proud after your programs and all of that. Bravo to you all. Thank you to even the EduAfrique followers. There are a lot of people volunteering in EduAfrique. There are a lot of people being part of what we are doing. And I have seen in fact, as a matter of fact, I will tell you guys, is because you guys are actually showing this enthusiasm that gives us the platform, or that gives us the motivation to help. Because when you help and the person you're helping is not helping him or herself, you will get discouraged. So we are always happy. Just like this year, just like in this spring alone, about 4 persons that we are going for visa, about 2 have gotten their visas. So we are expecting to come in January so far from EduAfrique followers and all of that. So, and we are still expecting more, because there are some other people still going for the interviews next week and upper week. So thank you all for your participation, your active participation. We keep in touch. Every other questions, we still have a lot to discuss. We will keep on answering your questions in our WhatsApp group chat, our Facebook page, or every other place. Just send your questions. We may not be able to answer immediately, but anytime we come online, we answer. Yeah, we have a lot of mentors in our group chats, and they're always there to answer your questions. Thank you for your active participation, and may God bless all of us, and happy International Education Week to everyone, both the applicants and those currently studying in the US. Happy International Education Week. We are proud of ourselves. A Black in us is actually speaking in the United States and in all the countries we are. Thank you, guys, and may God bless everyone. We keep in touch at the back end. Thank you.